Hello and welcome to On the Chain. I'm Chip. Jeff is on special assignment still, but don't worry, he'll be back tomorrow night. There's a lot of things going on as usual, and today it's International Women's Day. We've got something special planned. Also, it appears like the XRP holders are actually turning the tide. Wait for it. I'll explain. You guys ready? Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're coming in from, whether it's down under in Australia, if it's right across the street in Miami here. Guys, drop where you're from, put your city, state, country, whatever the identifier is, and we're going to be able to know as a community where you're coming in from. We want to know. It's always great to see where people are coming in from in the OTC family. It's a very vast one. So Jeff will be back tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, we've got a very special interview planned, and that is with none other than Mo Morsi. You know him from DevNull Productions, but he is behind Ledger City. We're super excited to get to talk to him about that. He'll be right here tomorrow with Jeff and I, and we'll jump into that. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, yeah, it's International Women's Day. Of course, we got to do something, and especially celebrating the women in blockchain, women in crypto, especially the women of the OTC. So be kind. It's International Women's Day. Let's be kind to all the women. There's a couple of them that are just diehard OTC supporters, and let's show them some love in the chat tonight. And then we'll jump into some other things. But I wanted to get started with this right here. A little bit of John Deaton tweet as usual, and he is on fire. The guy's incredible. I mean, we would probably just have the John Deaton show because his tweets pretty much can really pretty much carry the show. He's that good and all that important. But I want to start with this little bit right here. I'll throw this up here. Let's check this out right here. So John Deaton put this up. If you don't know who John Deaton is, you must have been living under a rock somewhere, but he's the founder of crypto-law.us. And he says, Connect to Congress works. I've spoken with Warren Davidson, Congressman Warren Davidson. It's been on the chain. The staff of Senator Warnock, he is a senator out of Georgia, right above Florida here. Senator Jack Reed, Senator Tim Scott, and I have a call with Jim Jordan's chief of staff tomorrow. This is all because of XRP holders taking action. It takes 30 seconds. It's pretty incredible if you think about it. As Duncan says, brilliant, John Deaton. Have you ever considered engage with Senator Warren? And look, reaching out and having these conversations is pretty big. And this is where the tide is turning, because check this out. Because of XRP holders, he's saying that it's because of you, it's because of the 65,000 plus that joined, it's because of all the international support. I don't want to leave you guys out either, because you guys have been instrumental in it too. We all come together, and it's because of the constant push. And this is probably something I'm pretty sure the SEC wasn't thinking about. They're probably like, wow, let's just go after them and let's see kind of what happens. I mean, we'll see where things end up at the end of this. So let's see where people are coming in from tonight. Let's look right here. Yeah, called Tinfoil in Alabama. There you go. What's going on? Moneybags, not Bob. Good to see you. There you go, right there. Hans Loaded, happy Women's Day. Connie Stewart, Sophie, and Annie Rito. Really great. I don't know if Liz is in the chat tonight, but she probably will join a little bit later. But yeah, happy Women's Day. Really appreciate that. And I have to tell you, if I had to sit there and think about what the world would be like without women, it would be tragic, okay? It's like a bunch of cavemen beating each other over the head with like sticks and throwing stuff at each other. We pretty much destroy it pretty fast. And without that warmth and love, all bets are off, right? I would think that if it was just men, we would have basically destroyed it all a long time ago. And the next thing I want to jump into too is it's an interesting one too. It's about XRP Price, and of course, this one was brought. This is one of our favorites. This is the WrathOfKahneman, but it was brought to the attention by none other than Hans Loaded, and thought it would make some good fodder for tonight. And I couldn't agree more. And I have to say that sometimes he undersells himself a little bit. So this is WrathOfKahneman, not Kahneman. If you look at his his thing, he says, I'm not investment advice. I'm not Professor Kahneman, tracking XRP/Ripple/Flare developments with sources. And this is what I like about the Wrath of Kahneman. He always backs it up with sources. On Twitter, you'll see somebody that takes like a nasty screenshot on their phone. They highlight a couple words poorly, with big red lines over half the top of it, and then they throw it out there. And you don't know where it's from. You don't know. People are like, well, Jeff, did you see this? Yeah, I saw it. But it's a lot better if we have a source. I don't know where this stuff's coming in. Oh no, you don't get that with Wrath of Kahneman. It's always got sources on there all the time. So he put together a thread on XRP price without discussing price. Why? Because he doesn't do that. And so why doesn't XRP go up with all the announced partners? Put out a thread. He calls it a long amateur Twitter essay. And I think he said he's selling himself a bit on the short side. I'll be honest with you, it's a bit on the short side. And before we get going, let's put this up right here. There is EC 2189. Thank you for that. Caveman fights. Isn't that Washington, D.C.? Yes, it is. But that's another story altogether. But another story, cave. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's living in a cave in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle. So he says, mostly no one needs enough XRP yet. Ripple's use, while growing, doesn't require enough to raise the price yet. And companies don't need to buy it because Ripple can source the liquidity for them cheaply and integrate it. Retail, that's you and I, it sets the price right now on exchanges. That's okay. Ripple's helping build more liquidity. On-demand liquidity doesn't push price up the way many hope, since every buy side has a sell side, ignoring LOC, but it's powerful long-term to get XRP moving in greater volume in corridors, increasing usefulness and desirability. And so far it's a pretty good take right here. I have to say that it's spot on so far, because a lot of people get disappointed. They're like, well, wait a minute, how come we don't see the price moving up? So I kind of like his take here, and you guys may agree with it or disagree with it, but it's a pretty solid take here. And let's go ahead and jump into the rest of it. He says, note they're targeting treasuries again, along with exporter remittances and liquidity. This suggests we may see larger chunk payments moving forward amidst the multiple liquidity efforts. And this is the kind of thing that gets retail, that's you and I, excited. Now, if you guys recall, it was a bunch of years ago that they were moving the large chunks, right? They were doing more of the treasury type of stuff, and they were moving larger payment chunks. And again, I think it really was more of a less of a test drive, just to see if it was possible they could actually do it. I think that's really more what the effort was around. But now he's saying that they're getting more into it. We may see these larger chunk payments versus like lots of little payments in there. And again, for us retail, that's exciting. And XRP is a long game. Well, don't we know that? We've been around this thing for a long time. Many of us going back to 2017 and before. XRP long game, capturing as much global value as possible because it's an embedded part of the global financial system. It's going to take a minute. Don't be fooled. Bitcoin is still a sideshow with little global financial impact beyond melting ice caps. Okay, a little bit of a dig there. Okay, got a shot in there. Okay. And it's crucial that the XRPL works just fine right now at low prices and volumes and sticky corridors. That's why it will grow. It's part of why Ripple is credible to major organizations like the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and not dismissed as a cartoon coin Elon Musk can tweet about. Again, spot on. As more embedded value enters the ledger, price should rise and different dynamics of scale come into play. The spread will mean more, demand should increase, price should finally rise. And I hope you can see why there's no switch to throw. Although, interestingly enough, so every once in a while, David Schwartz bumps into the switch. We saw that excellent animation not too long ago where he's toiling away on his computer and reaches over and flips the switch. And we've been waiting for the flip to be switched for, I don't know, since 2012, all waiting for that switch to be flicked. And we got up as high as like 170, 180 about a year ago, hit a high of 384, I think it was. That's right around that number. And so it's kind of crazy to think, it was the bull run of 2017 into 2018 when it hit that all-time high. And to think that that's not going to happen again and blow by it would be ridiculous, because that was on speculation. Meanwhile, look at all the partners that have come into play over the last 3 to 4 years. Looking at 2018 January, we're actually in March, 4+ years later. Look at the amazing amount of partners. Look at all the quarters that were built. And so this is something that's we're way beyond the speculation part of it. So yeah, we're going to blow past 384. When? Well, that is the question. So let's get into, he says, I can see why, I hope you see there's no switch to throw, only corridors for liquidity to be added gradually. Retail shouldn't be enough, the amount to shock the price up with good volume. Now, if a government or Amazon or something huge buys in, that could be explosive. But again, that's not a switch. Also, when folks say that XRP needs to be at a higher price to work, no, it doesn't. Not yet. It is working just fine now. Schwartz's $30 Quip illustrated a price point that would be useful for global transactions, an implication, not a strategy. Step 1, make XRP worth $50 per XRP. Now, I don't think any of us would discourage that from happening. But again, I do see it happening. A lot of things are going to change. We've seen a lot of things change already. But the way I look at this over the past 4 years, the amount of partnerships, not only that, but the adoption in crypto. Okay, so we've seen a little bit of a market cap. We hit 3 trillion. 3 trillion is nothing in the grand scheme of things. One time on this show, we'll probably have to do it again. Jeff and I broke down all the money in the world. And $3 trillion is a drop in the bucket, especially when you start looking at everything. Even gold is very small. We saw gold just hit $2,000. I wonder why. Anybody have any ideas? Anybody? Is there anything weird going on in the world that might have triggered that? I mean, it was hovering around $1,700, $1,800 for the longest time. But 10 years ago, it was $1,100, right? So something's going on. There's something going on somewhere in the world. So I think it makes an immediate price problem, since there isn't much incentive for retail XRP traders and a lot of bias against. Meanwhile, Deaton holders like you and me, hey, wait a minute, I may resemble that comment, just help slowly buying up escrow. Of course, I'm broke. What do I know? Well, join the crowd, because I've got another story in here basically talking about inflation and what's happening in the world. It's starting to get a little bit crazy. And I believe that we are just at the tip of the iceberg. So let's jump back into this. He says, when I see new Ripple users announced, I'm excited. A new company might be enticed to use XRP product. When I see ODL users announced, I get excited more, because XRP will flow and ODL use. And all this is a long ways out from being a new embedded financial rail. But you have to start somewhere. This is why Ripple's been very generous with Ripple X, Forte, Coil, Mintable, etc. More entry points for the XRPL value to embed itself. NFTs, federated sidechains, all useful, but what they really do is further embed the ledger as the financial gateway to travel on. Now, there we go right there. That right there, I believe, is very spot on, because we talked about federated sidechains. The expansion. And what I really like about this, let me just back up a little bit. What I like about it is, instead of having the XRPL try to do everything, it's a big mistake. You have to have focus. You don't want to start adding all of these things on there. Yeah, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do smart contracts. The better way to do it is what genius David Schwartz came up with, which is the federated sidechains. Federated sidechains, you could spin it up in an instant. You could close it out. You can spin up as many as you want. And that right there is great, because what it does, it adds value without actually messing with the actual XRPL itself. Again, native NFTs on there, you're going to see a whole world flood over, and especially other things built on that. I mean, if OpenSea really wanted to, and they wanted to get rid of those like gas prices, yeah, all they would have to do simply is be able to mint on the XRPL. And you'd have something like OpenSea that would give their users a choice. Now, if they're given the choice, they open it up to a broader, I would say, user base, because nobody wants to pay those gas fees. Nobody wants to pay them. They're ridiculous. And I know we keep hearing about Ethereum 2.0, and I'll be honest with you, man. I really don't know when it's going to come. We're 6 years in. and nothing. And what was that thing the SEC said about the reason they were going after Ripple? Because the network wasn't built out yet. Well, look at the tech for Ethereum. Just saying. The sign I watch for the growth of other companies, especially Ripple competitors, using the XRPL, companies like Zago making XRP payments without ODL or Forte. It feels like a threshold of some kind. Now, what if JP Morgan gave in and tried to corner the XRP market? So I keep watching. Thanks for slogging through. I still refuse to discuss price. Hashtag free Galgatron. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Galgatron, but there used to be some really epic spats and hot takes on Twitter. Galgatron, man, I do miss him. And there's a couple other people that were really big in the early days that just kind of like they disappeared, or I don't know what happened to them. They fell off the face of the earth, and maybe they just went into maybe more of a private type of a setting. That could be too. You can't blame somebody for wanting to have a little bit of privacy. You can't say that I would do that. Let's see, ETH founders. There you go. That's a very good big possibility too. They could be Grays. You never know. They could be the Grays. You know the Grays, guys. You know the ones with the short little bodies, the aliens with the big eyes. They call them Grays. And you know me, I love all of that stuff. So I'm big time into it. And you got Mariska Del Jong says XRP is better than euros, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's better than almost anything. But I think where the end game is once we get off the fiat train. Now, there's so many things melting down in the world that is pointing to, do you really want to be on an exchange? Do you really want to own fiat? And then, so to me, what I see happening as a result of all this is they are burning down the whole idea behind CBDCs and its adoption. Who wants to be invested in CBDCs versus a fiat? I'd rather be holding almost any cryptocurrency, because I don't want to be, suppose instead of a blue shirt, I bought a green shirt. They say like, well, I'm sorry, man. You got to respect the code. It's a green shirt, not a blue shirt. And they either can program it. So for me, my family, somebody can't buy blue shirts anymore. Or suppose they go like, well, let's see, you don't meet the ideal weight class. And, the healthcare is going up, and, we're putting in government healthcare, and, well, we're going to restrict the kind of food you can buy. It sounds funny. I was sounding the alarm on this as Jeff was when I started talking about CBDCs. Anytime it's programmable money, what do you think is going to happen? And, given the fact that of what's happened this year alone, what happened up in Canada, what's happening in Australia, what's happening in the United States, what's happening in the UK, I mean, you name the country. What's happening over in Europe. If you would say, the zombie apocalypse is, by the way, I heard it's coming in 9 months. I'd be like, if you said it 3 years ago, I'd be like, come on, man, that's never going to happen. But now I'm like, oh, could it happen sooner? I mean, could it happen by July? It's always a possibility, because like nothing's really out of the ordinary these days. Almost everything is. So I tease this one here. Let me go ahead and I want to put this up here for a second, and then we'll go ahead and watch this video. But Ripple put something really cool out today, as they often do. This here is it's Women in Blockchain, because it's International Women's Day. This is Yana Novikova gets it done right here. We're going to check out this video because I like some of the things she's talking about here, and it kind of gives us, we always think that it's a male-dominated industry, and for the most part it is, but there are a lot of amazing women working in blockchain. So this is it's a really good little profile. We'll catch some of the video, but Yana Novikova is on a mission to solve complex problems before they actually become problems. In her 7 years at Ripple, Yana's approached every challenge with the determination to find clarity in complexity by using her wealth of experience and industry knowledge. And here's somebody who spent 7 years at Ripple. First time I've heard her name. So it's when you look at it like that, it's like, wow. I mean, here's somebody 7 years. 7 years at Ripple, it's a pretty strong amount of time, given the fact that they are 10 years old. They started in 2012. Yeah, it's a pretty pretty good run right there. So she started Ripple, one of the first product managers. She worked on the technical protocol layer. She progressed up, leading the on-demand liquidity team. And most recently, she earned the role of head of product for Ripple X. So that's pretty good too. She's also moved up in the ranks. And I'm going to go ahead and share this again. And I always got to be reminded to make sure I save the right tab. And also, let's see if this is it. Yeah, this is it right here. Oh, that's okay. No, that's not it. No, it's not. Let me do this again. I shared the right screen, but I wanted to share it on another. Let's see if we can do this again. There it is right there. I believe, is that it? Yeah, that's it. There we go. Good. All right, let's go grab this. Let's pull this go. Let's pull this up. And it's a YouTube video. It's only about 2.5 minutes long, not long at all, but let's listen in because I think this is some great stuff here.
Being in this company and being in this industry, in these early days, actually, it's very fulfilling because you're working on something that's going to go into history books that will definitely bring a lot of change to the world. Hi, my name is Yana Novikova, and I'm a head of product on Ripple X side. It's a very strong team at Ripple where there's a lot of smart people. There's a lot of people who work hard and who are going to challenge you. But at the same time, everyone's also very fun and fun to be around.
You're innovating or building things together. There's a lot of fulfillment in that, and you just bond so deeply with your teammates. And I see it translate to outside of work too.
I live in San Francisco. If you climb to the top of Pacific Heights, you can see the bay, you can see Alcatraz. It's very beautiful. It feels like it's not the city you live in, it's the city you visit or you're on vacation. My favorite spot in the city is Chrissy Field. It's just stunning. I like to go running. It actually helps me to clear my head when I have a problem to solve or I have to come up with a different approach to something I'm working on. Running actually helps me to think of a different way or different angle to approach or solve the problem. As a product manager, you have to be the router of information. You have to work with many different departments to make sure that they understand the product strategy, they understand the products you're building, what type of problems the product solves for the customers. At the same time, you need to execute.
Yana and I started working together almost 2.5 years ago, and she's extremely capable of taking complex problems, breaking them down to essentially figure out how do you take this completely new product and build it and scale it.
So I think of Yana having this upward climb in her career path at Ripple and always kind of breaking new ground. Yana started as one of the first product team members, and now she's joined us as our Ripple X head of product.
We're changing how financial industry will look in maybe 5, 10, 20 years. We're definitely at the forefront of innovation. I think 20 years from now, people will look at this space and it will be the same as like when the internet started.
Now that's really pretty cool. And again, it's great to celebrate International Women's Day. And this was a nice little piece they put together. But I want to call attention to this right here. The very first thing she says sets the tone for the entire video, because let's see if we can just listen to this one little line that she says here.
In this company and being in this industry, in these early days, actually, it's very fulfilling because you're working on something that's going to go into history books that will definitely bring a lot of change to the world.
You're working on something that's going to go in the history books. It's going to change the world. Now, is that a fulfilling job or what? That right there to me is amazing. That's the money shot right there. And it's really great to be able to see a profile somebody, especially a product manager, somebody at Ripple. We look at a lot of stuff at Ripple, but somebody who moved up through the ranks and excelled in her career. So that's really great. Kate Hud here, thank you. Says, Chip, you have it all down, man. You're a smart individual. Appreciate it. I appreciate you, Kate Hud. Appreciate that support. And again, Jeff and I couldn't do this without you guys. Otherwise, well, we could, and sometimes we actually do it. It's when we're like talking to each other, but we've both been so crazy busy lately that it's a quick text on that. But I bet sometimes you guys would enjoy some of the conversations we have that are like off off the podcast, if you will, which is always kind of a fun thing. And thank you for that, K-Head, again. Dead Poets. There we go. Appreciate that. And I was just looking through some more of the see if I can throw any of these other comments up here. Yeah, this is what San Francisco looks like now. It's a beautiful city. Yeah, I have to say, it was interesting. One time I was actually in San Francisco. An old ex-colleague of mine. I was wearing a sport jacket. I was heading off to one of these after-hours office type of events, where networking events. And I was on Market Street, actually right around the corner from where Ripple headquarters is. I was actually walking. I was with a friend. I was like catching up to me, and I turn around and I see somebody walking. Now this is kind of weird, right? I mean, you're in San Francisco, and I'm really far away, and I think it's this person. I'm like, yell their name. I yell her name, and she like stops, and she kind of like looks around, like, ooh, that's probably not her. I was like, and she gets closer, and I was like, why would I think that would be her? I mean, I'm like, I haven't seen her for years. She's far away. I don't see her. She comes up. She's like, Chip? And then she's like, oh my God, how did you know that was me? I'm like, it's like a guess. I don't know. She goes, man, how weird is this? Gave her a hug, and it was like, hey, it was one of those weird things, but that reminded me of that when I was watching the video and they were like hugging. It reminded me of that. It's just like in the middle of nowhere. You're walking through San Francisco. You run into somebody from a while ago, who then, who's actually moved out to San Francisco. Anyway, kind of a funny thing, was on the way to do her laundry or something along those lines. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, one of those things. But I wanted to jump back into this because there's some other good information in here on this, on Yana. And let's make that bigger. Yeah. So it says her accent affords others a glimpse into her background, but she's more concerned with looking ahead, especially when it comes to anticipating the needs of the customer. You have to understand the industry. You have to understand what's important for a customer. And when it's important, Yana explains, you don't want to wait for the customer to ask it. This is so important. And if you guys deal with customers, or if you're in a position where you deal with customers, you always want to anticipate it, because when they ask the question, either better be ready, or you're going to be behind the 8 ball. She says you almost want to already have the product ready for them before they even come to you. And I could agree with that more. She continues to apply this type of thinking in her role at Ripple and respected customers, from the enterprise to developer on the XRP ledger of all. She excels at bringing together global functional teams to enable customer feedback to be the North Star development. Yana's quite literally always moving forward. She'll go for a run. And the rest of it we kind of saw in the video, but I thought that was actually kind of interesting to sort of pull out and look at there. I'm going to go ahead and pull up another story here. Let me see what else we have here. Let me look at what we have. Yeah, so here's something pretty interesting. So, Elon Musk, no stranger to controversy, no stranger to anything. He's bold. He'll say what he wants to say. He wants to pump a meme coin. He will. He wants to talk about, look what happened with Bitcoin. Pumped it, all about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not so cool. So he is an influencer. He's also very successful. And I love the guy just because, knowing the money, he was part of that whole PayPal mafia, came out of the whole PayPal thing. He took like $180 million out of that, dumped half of it into SpaceX, the other half into Tesla, and almost lost them both. So that's somebody who's willing to risk big, but also with big, risk, you also have the opportunity for a potential big reward. But check this out. So James Filan put this out. He said, Elon Musk asked the court to terminate his consent decree with the SEC, saying the SEC is acting in bad faith and using the consent decree to trample on his First Amendment rights and to impose prior restraints on his speech. Now, this is the kind of stuff that I like to see. And he is, he's bold. He's coming right out and hitting the SEC. Not even a little bit. But it's funny where he says the SEC is acting in bad faith and using his consent decree to trample his First Amendment rights, his free speech, and going after them. So he's going to the court, and he wants to terminate the consent decree. And we actually have it here, where please take notice that the memorandum of law in support of the motion to quash, and that's the legal term for eliminate, get rid of, the motion to terminate consent decree dated on March 8th, 2022, and all exhibits attached here too, the declaration of Elon Musk dated March 8th, and all the papers and proceedings herein. So it goes through, naming all that stuff, and then here we go. Defendant Elon Musk respectively moves this court for an order quashing certain portions of an administrative subpoena issued ulteriors by plaintiff, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and for order terminating the consent decree. Those portions of the subpoena should be quashed because the SEC lacks the legal authority, pay attention here, legal authority to issue those demands under the purview of the securities laws or the judgments in this case, and because the subpoena was issued in bad faith. Boom. Love it. The consent decree should be terminated because it's inequitable to permit the SEC's roving, unbounded investigations into Mr. Musk while imposing ex ante prior restraints on and ex post unending investigations of Mr. Musk exercised the First Amendment rights. Further, the circumstances under which the decree was entered strongly favored termination of the decree. The grounds for these motions are set forth more fully in the memorandum law. Mr. Musk respectfully requests oral argument on these motions. Now, this right here is absolutely brilliant. I love this because it does. Who would go after that? Who goes after the SEC? Who would fight the SEC? Well, Elon Musk, for one. There's been others. I want to look through here. Let's see if there's anything else. Any exhibits here? Let me see. Wow, this is holy cow! Look at this thing. It's holy wow! Look at this thing. I'm just keep scrolling through this thing. It's just. I wanted to see if there. Here we go. The exhibits. Let's see what the exhibits are. Let me go back over here. So phone conversations between Elon Musk, David Searle, Tesla Deputy General Counsel, acting head of legal. Privileged description regarding Musk's announcement of his intent to sell Tesla stock. Here's some more, Exhibit E, which that case, something happened there. That looks like the Matrix right there. Something weird going on there. That's not, I don't know what this is, but looks like something didn't quite print out right. But anyway, that's cool. I love the fact that he's taking them on. He's not sitting around. It's like, hey, they're infringing on my First Amendment rights, my free speech. They're taking advantage. They're acting in bad faith. I love it. So somebody is going after the SEC, and that somebody just happens to be Elon Musk, a very smart cookie. So you got to love that as well. Now, the world's burning down. There's a lot of stuff going on, and this is interesting because Ukrainians, let's put this up here, Ukrainians embrace Bitcoin for daily purchases. 57 million have been donated for military support in Ukraine as of March 4th. The Russian Bitcoin transactions have increased as BTC ruble pairs trade at 62 million, but does not seem to have affected the Bitcoin price. Bitcoin's already up roughly 9% of the month of February, coming back down from the January dip and then separating itself from other risk-on accents. Now, what's interesting about this is that something that, Jeff and I talked about, we showed a tweet, or maybe it was me last night, I'm trying to think, but there was a tweet that we showed was Matt Hamilton and one of his colleagues' uncles went over there, and they're using XRP. So they set up a wallet. They said, one XRP, that's a bottle of water. And then I went and showed the video of all that was happening. So what's interesting about that, it's all about optics, right? So Bitcoin has the name brand. Everybody goes to Bitcoin, but there's a lot more than Bitcoin. I mean, you could use XRP, XLM, things that can move fast, and then the whole interoperability of putting in a fiat on the other side. Now the thing is, here they've got a Bitcoin and a ruble pair, so you need some sort of a pair to be able to go through it. And like Brad Garlinghouse came out and announced, he said that yes, Ripple would heed the advice of the U.S. if they wanted to put in sanctions and all that. But here's the deal: that's if it involves Ripple. If it doesn't involve Ripple, guess what? Game on. XRP, set up a wallet. As long as you can get that converted to a ruble on the other side. And like I said, what's really holding us back is the full adoption. There's going to come a point where you don't need to go to fiat anymore. You may have fiat for the initial purchase, and you may just be in crypto from there on. As long as somebody takes it, and especially if they're using something like the XRPL, they can basically transfer it to like 6,000 type currencies. That's digital. That's all fiat. then you don't really need to worry about it. It's like having that off ramp. We talk about off ramps now, it's because what you need. But as soon as every retailer, look who's getting into crypto. You got Visa, you got MasterCard, you've got UnionPay, UnionPay is the Chinese system, which also is a Ripple partner. Yeah, all these payment systems around the world, at some point, you're not going to need an off ramp. It's just going to be native. So, and they're not going to care which native crypto you use, because they'll all be convertible at some point, whether it's XRPL or something else that's converting them. So they're not going to care. So this whole concept, we're infancy, early days, and we're thinking, well, we need an off ramp and the fiat currency. And you see how fiat's being restricted, right? So there's a huge thing going on there. But let's jump back into this. It says NYDIG, a financial company that focuses on institutional grade Bitcoin solutions, released its February 2022 Bitcoin brief report discussing relevant statistics related to Bitcoin as an asset, comparing it to other financial products, and then diving into Bitcoin metrics in Ukraine and the Russian invasion purdues. I think I was going to sneeze here, and if I am, I'm going to hit the button here so I don't sneeze on you guys. Let me see. Okay, good. I hit the button. Ukrainians have also been embracing Bitcoin for everyday purchases as the National Bank of Ukraine suspended the foreign exchange market, limited cash withdrawals, and prohibited the use of fiat currencies via digital platforms like Venmo or PayPal, per the report. Here we go. Here's a chart. So if you look at the performance of Bitcoin versus gold, the S&P 500, and the Barclays aggregate, you can see that the first month, Barclays is -1. You got S&P is -2 almost 3%. And then on the 5-year, you have Bitcoin up 103%. Gold is up 8%. S&P 500 up 15%, and Barclays aggregate is 2.71. And if you look at Barclays, the whole entire aggregate really never peaks above 4%. It stays all under 4% over the whole entire 5 years. And look at the S&P. So the S&P grows, right? It had the biggest strength was about a year ago. 3 years was 18, but the big winner here overall is Bitcoin. So there you have it. There you have it. Jumping back into the chat here, see what's going on in Chatville. Anybody saying anything here? I'm going through here. Yeah, I have to be careful of this stuff. You're saying a lot of interesting stuff, but again, I have to be careful, as is Jeff. But look at this one right here. XRP Hitman says, yo, how's everyone doing? We're all doing fine. Thank you for joining in, Hitman. Appreciate it. And let's go into this now. Tom Emmer, no stranger to this arena right here, and he's actually was amazing coming on the chain. If you guys haven't seen that, you can go to onthechain.io and view it. Just click on the interviews tab. You can go view that. But again, just what an amazing. We need more Tom Emmers in Congress. He put this tweet out a little bit earlier today. Said, here's another bad take. U.S. regulated crypto exchanges are compliant. Well, let me see what the bad take is. So, Senator Warren drafting a bill to ensure crypto can't be used to evade sanctions. Okay. One of the dumbest things ever, because this goes to show you, and it kind of the face goes with it. If you look at the face, just completely out of touch, completely off the rocker, not even close. If you were looking at being a book in a library and on the right page, she's not even in the right city to be able to hit the right library, to be able to hit the right row, to be able to drive the book, to be on the right page. She's completely off base here. And so Tom Emmer has it right. Another bad take. U.S. regulated crypto exchanges are compliant with sanctions. That fact alone highlights the need to foster crypto innovation domestically and not push it offshore. Really well said. Appreciate that, Tom Emmer. And he continues with, crypto is one of the only ways to securely and reliably get funds into Ukraine. Let's focus on that, and let's not spew misinformation that has been discredited by Treasury officials. So I love what he does here. And this is a really, if you're trying to win an argument, and you could also, you got to remember who your sources are. But if you talk about the Treasury, another government entity that's really nonpartisan, you say, well, the Treasury officials have already debunked this whole myth. That's a really great way to say it. It's like, well, you could say he could sort 40 other sources. He could basically cite other sources. He could cite other people in blockchain, other leaders in the space. But by doing this, completely eliminates it. Yeah, well, other Treasury officials have already debunked it. Rob Laker on fire here with this comment. USA simply needs to see her booted out the Senate Banking Committee. How different would the situation be with Senator Toomey or Senator Loomis as the head of the Senate Banking Committee instead of Senator Warren? On the only downside to that statement is Senator Toomey is retiring and he will not be in the next session of Congress. But I love where he's going with that. And so he was hashtag make Liz a backbencher, hashtag vote red 2022. And I have a feeling, and John Deaton has said this, that the crypto contingency, we are going to be in full force. We're going to be out there voting. We don't care if it's raining, snowing, tornadoes. We will be there and we will vote. And not only on that issue, but just a flurry of other issues as well. DM Logic says 100%. Great points being made there. Tony from Thinking Crypto says, yep. And yeah, I don't know what that is. But there was, hang on a second, let me grab this tweet here. And I said, does Senator Warren ever have a good take? I mean, has there been anything where she had a good take? I think I had a good take. We mentioned something the other day that was actually a pretty good take. And no, see, she doesn't. No. See, right there, no. Not a good take. No, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Sorry for that. And so he basically pointed to this story right here, talking about this bill where we had one of the provisions would make it easier to verify customer identities and transfers to private wallets by enforcing detailed record keeping and reporting. Now, the funny thing is that's not necessary because we already have KYC AML. But again, if you're a politician and you want to go ahead and you want to verify transfers to private wallets, and you want to enforce this record keeping, well, then you make up something like, well, we got to do this to stop sanctions, from people evading sanctions, right? So you make up some funny thing because do we think she really knows? I mean, probably not. But again, if you're trying to push something like this through, you'd probably say, yeah, it's about this one issue, and we all care about this one issue. There was one issue that happened in 2011 here in this country, and that one issue eroded everyone's freedom because they said, like, yeah, that one issue caused a big deal. And guess what? We all want to be safe, don't we? And everyone, yay. And then this happened 2 years ago again. We want to be safe, right? Follow the rules. Just do this and that, and everything's going to be okay. And of course, it didn't exactly work out that way. It wasn't the norm that happened for that. Here's another one here. Now, I don't know who at Cyberpunk Cortes or Hernan Cortes is here, but here's a tweet that he put out. The whole argument for crypto just blew itself up. What's the point of crypto? To free yourself from government fiat monetary control. If this company can just come in and do the same thing to your digital fiat money. What he's talking about here is he's referring to this tweet put out by The Hill, live coverage. Coinbase blocks 25,000 wallets linked to Russia. And again, this was it of their own doing? I'll be honest, it's hard to say, but that is the risk you run when you're a regulated exchange. If you're a DEX, a decentralized exchange, yes, the exchange itself is decentralized, but the people running it are centralized. So you have that as well. So it's always not well, two sneezes. Where's the lucky third one coming? Are we getting a lucky third sneeze tonight? Bark says fiat will be abolished in 2 years' time, maybe less. Yeah, but if we end up with CBDCs, that's not a good take either. That's a very bad thing for that to happen. We certainly don't want that. Okay, so I don't know what Norseman's going on, but peppers, sweet peppers, super hot peppers, potatoes, sweet peppers, herbs. I don't know what that's all about. But maybe he's cooking, maybe he's having a little bit of food. I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about there. Who knows what he's saying right there? So we got a couple more things before we get out of here tonight. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so here's something funny. And this is good to know. These are good things to know here. But this was put out by Matthew at LINY. And Yeah, I had Matthew on the show early days when I first started streaming. Good guy, go follow him. And he put this out. Let me just double check this. Yeah, let me go ahead and put this into a reader. But this is interesting. Check this out. They're like, we'll put it on the screen first, Chip, and then we'll check it out. There you go, right there. So Visa, MasterCard, PayPal will have no impact on Russia. Union Pay, which is China, also a Ripple partner, Wiz Financial. Now, you remember them as formerly Finabler, also a Ripple partner, will fill the gap. Union Pay is one of the largest card services provider. This is an XRP integrated platform. Interesting. So now whether it plays a part or not, hard to know exactly, but we do know that both of those, both Union Pay and Finabler, or I should say Wiz Financial, they're both Ripple partners. And here it is right here. Finabler rebranded Wiz Financial, merged into Leading Payments. And then you have this other stuff. Let's see this other one here. Let's pull this up. Finabler, this is their old site, cross-border payments, interconnectivity between Money Express, the Union Pay remittance platform, their payments engine to facilitate cross-border payments into mainland China from the international market. So this is how they're going to basically evade it, or get around it, I should say. Digital wallets, interconnectivity between digital wallets operated by Union Pay or its partner banks. With Finabler's payments technology solution to facilitate cashless spending by foreign visitors. Where? Mainland China. The VAT refund, shopping and digital VAT refund solutions for Chinese tourists visiting some of the major international destinations. Then you have digital shopping and gifting. This facilitates cashless payments for overseas spending by Chinese travelers via digital gifting solutions offered by Finabler company Switch within the Union Pay app. So you can see this is all basically tied back to Union Pay. And here's a little chart right here. It kind of shows you shows you how it works. You got backend infrastructure. You got NIS. You got SAP. You got data leg, APIs, Ripple, correspondent banks, and distribution partners. You see little Swift logo in there as well as a banking and Ripple logo. So that's kind of an interesting. It's kind of interesting. Let's see what else he had to say here. Come on. There we go. And here it is right here. Russian banks consider using China's Union Pay. Big accounting firms exit. So there you go. If you look at it like that, it's not going to have anything. And what's interesting about it is sometimes the people trying to do the best thing, which is prohibit the use, they kind of forget about the people. They think that this is what happens often, is that people confuse the government for the people. And don't we have a lot of evidence that most people are not with what their government is doing or has been doing the last couple of years? I mean, don't we have enough evidence of that yet? So why would you punish the people who are trying to live their life, provide for their families, make payments, pay their bills? These are the people you want to penalize. So what are you doing? Well, you're kind of hanging yourself with your own rope, because guess what? You're never going back. So you just cut off that part. And then what you did is you woke up everybody else to say, if that happened there, I understand there's a whole different sort of a circumstance, but then that comes back and happens here. So the idea that it probably wasn't plausible, did anybody think that you'd have major cardholders like MasterCard and Visa pulling out of countries? Probably not. Yeah, we know that there's sanctions imposed by the U.S. can put sanctions via the SWIFT system, but now pretty much everything is in play. Fiat currency, bank accounts can be shut down. We saw that happen up in the Great North, up there. I will say now we see this sort of cancel thing happen. But guess what? When it blows over, things sort of return to normal. Guess who's going to be coming back in? Hey, we'd like to start up again. Nope, sorry, you're banned forever. They're not going back. That's part of it. And I don't know what the user base is. I'm not saying it's big, but now they've awakened the world to say that, yeah, it can also happen where you are. So that could be a major faux pas. And again, this is what happens when you forget you cannot separate the people from the actual action of a government. And I'm pretty sure that at least some of the things that I've seen, that most of the people there do not support what's going on, yet they're going to suffer and be penalized as a result. That's kind of tragic in its own right. What else do we have here? Yeah, there's another thing about Russian banks using the. So here's another thing. So this is where you're starting to see a lot of things happen. This was on Disclosed TV. This says that just in, Russia suspends foreign exchange trading until September. Russian banks are no longer allowed to sell foreign currency to citizens. So you kind of see what's happening. You sort of see like a little bit of a trend happening here. And then we have, here's something else. This is the kind of things where I wish Jeff was here tonight, because this headline pretty much says it all. And you know how we are about these type of headlines, but let's look at this headline right here. The SEC is considering climate disclosure rules for U.S. companies and facing threats of lawsuits. That's right. Now, if you remember, John Kennedy famously asked, Chair Gensler, asked that, do you think you're their daddy? Gensler's like, well, no, I don't think that. Then why do you act like it? When he talked about, John Kennedy also brought up the fact that why are you bringing up climate change? Why are you bringing up climate disclosures? People don't care about that. And Gensler went on about some long diatribe that had nothing to do with anything. But better information leads to better decisions. This is the idea behind regulatory device known as mandated disclosure. Mandated disclosures are all around you, from calorie counts on fast food restaurant menus to conversions or conversations with doctors around informed consent. But the biggest experiment yet in mandated disclosure may be an expected U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission proposal to extend these ideas to climate impacts facing U.S. listed companies. Again, I'd love to go on a major rant here, but this has nothing to do with anything. Nobody cares about it. The companies don't care. Now, I know companies have to play the game and pretend like, oh, yeah, we're really concerned about it. We really care about it. In the grand scheme of things, nobody cares about it, except for a small, very percentage of people. And those people, for those people, it's like a religion to them. And quite honestly, I've said this, listen, the earth will be around way after humans are extinct. It's going to be doing just fine. It's not going to worry, doesn't care. So this whole idea, what is it really about? Well, if you look at new ways that you'd like to tax people, you invent something called a carbon credit. And you go like, yeah, and right now it's optional. Yeah, I want to buy carbon credits. So it's a voluntary tax until it becomes involuntary, until you make companies disclose a mandated disclosure whether or not their climate impact is. By who? And who are the so-called fact checkers that are going to tell us who that climate impact is through? Who are they going to be? Because the science is not finalized, nor is science ever finalized. There's always something about it. And science is a question. It's always an inquiry as to what's happening, what's going on. And there are circumstances and events that can alter that. But if you have somebody that says, oh no, this is the impact, this is what you're going to code it to, so-called fact checkers, they already fact check it, or somebody close to the somebody closer that understands all of it supposedly. And yeah, this is there you are right there. So let's talk climate change and finance. I don't even really want to watch this video because I'm kind of tired of this guy. I'm tired of his antics. I'm tired of his shallowness. Also tired of the fact that he pretends to claim he's going to really look out for investors. Does none of it. So this is something old that was tweeted out back on October 25. And the headline on it is, what does the SEC have to do with climate? And I will answer that for you, Mr. Daddy G. Nothing. Has nothing to do with science, has nothing to do with the SEC, has nothing to do with anything. But go on. Keep showing who you are to us all. Show your cards. We know who you are. We have your number. And I don't think we really need to say any more about that anyway. But that is, that's Gensler. That's who he is. So let's look at another quick story here. This one here, again, very encouraging. Now, we know that this has been an option for a long time as far as banks being able to. Brian Brooks, when he was the comptroller of the OCC, he came out with legislation that said the banks can custody crypto, but we haven't heard a lot about it. Check this out. So you have Virginia bill that allows banks to provide custody for crypto assets. And again, I've said that in the past. I mean, things have changed a little bit, but in order for mainstream street adoption, you have to have some peace of mind, and people have to. Yeah, we can go ahead and move our crypto to a cold storage wallet, but yeah, let's face it, you're having a heart attack. You do something wrong, it's gone forever. There's no like, it's not like going to call up customer support. It's like, yeah, customer support. Yeah, I made a mistake, and oh, you can get it back. Great. There's none of that going on. It's gone into the ether, gone forever. So this right here is interesting because according to a report by Fox Business, HB 263 passed the state's legislature early this week, expected to be signed into law by Governor Glenn Youngkin within the next 7 days. So it's already gone through the Virginia House and the Virginia Senate, and what it requires, very similar to what happens with the national. You have the House of Representatives, you have a Senate, but you also have that mini version in every state where the governor is like the president of that state, and the governor is the one that actually will sign off on this, and then that bill will then become a law. And it will permit banks to provide virtual currency custody services as long as they have the protocols in place that can manage the risks according to the legislation's text. Furthermore, banks that provide crypto asset custody services must possess trust powers and have trust department approved by the state. So there's going to be a little bit of regulation. They're not going to allow this willy-nilly because, let's face it, you are custodying crypto for potential, this would be looking out for people. The bill's sponsor, State Delegate Chris Head, explains to Fox Business about the legislation. He says, by codifying the ability for state charter banks to become custodians of cryptocurrency, this will make Virginia the first in the country to provide the ability to banks through this legislation. Functionally, the bill allows state charter banks in Virginia to hold the keys to one's cryptocurrency purse, similar to how individuals use safety deposit boxes at banks. Ultimately, this will put Virginia at a significant advantage regionally and nationwide. He says that the regulations passed in Texas last year inspired him to come up with the idea for the legislation. Came up with HB 263 last summer after reading about how Texas was addressing the issue of cryptocurrency and who's permitted to hold the keys to one's crypto's purse. So yeah, and again, I do think it would be easier. So, for some people, the ability to log into your website, go onto your phone, suppose you go onto a computer, sometimes it's easier to pay bills on a phone, and it's a hassle to do it on a computer. A lot of things are becoming so much easier. There was a video I did the other day, quick video. I had this, that, music, whatever. It was 12 minutes, edited on my phone, done, complete. And that probably would have taken me much longer just sitting on a computer. So somebody's on their phone, they log into their bank. Guess what? They can go ahead and pull up, they can actually buy crypto and it's stored at the bank. And that is going to feel better for a lot of people. Now, you run the risk because it's a centralized bank. But again, I think people place a lot more trust in a bank, especially if this becomes something where it's FDIC insured, meaning right now, if you put fiat currency in a bank, that bank goes under, you are insured up to $250,000 for that particular event. If you got $1 million, you only get $250 back. That's why a lot of people spread their money out between different banks, because in case the bank goes under, and that's happened before, they're not going to lose everything. So I think that right there is a really good scenario for potentially doing that. And I would say to anybody here who's watching and you're still here and you're still around, thank you. Thank you for dropping in tonight. I really appreciate you guys. And I want to remind everybody, we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then Jeff does a solo rant. And I call it a rant because it's always fun. I usually listen to it, or I'm in the chat with everybody else. And I'm just another OTC participant, part of the family. That's fun too, chat with everybody. And that is on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern time. And that's pretty much all I ever have tonight. But tomorrow night, guys, come on back for a really special interview with Mo Morsi. You know him from DevNull Productions. He is the genius behind Ledger City. We're going to bring him in here. We're going to have a lot of questions. Hopefully, maybe we'll get to see a little bit of it. But we're going to find out some more questions. So come on back in here tomorrow night. And I'd love to hear your questions as well and what you guys are thinking. That's all I have. I'm Chip, Jeff and I will be back tomorrow night, and I am out of here. See you guys on the next one. Chip out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.